Every once in a while comes along a band who sort of sweeps everyone off their feet, has everybody head over heels. We've seen this with the likes of Blood Incantation, Pissgrave, and not only does this band that I'm about to talk about, not only have they knocked us off of our feet, but they've literally taken a piece of equipment, bulldozed over top of us, threw it in reverse, and went back over. Mephitic Corpse is that band. Oh, hi. My name's Jorge. I grew up in the 80s and I used to love getting into trouble. I have always been a friend of felines. I take my faith very seriously. Attending college at a Christian school, I've been a music fan my entire life, of all genres. Recently finding out I really like extreme metal, and I want to invite you to journey with me on my discovery of extreme metal. What is up, folks? Welcome back to A Christian Collects Death Metal. It's your pal Jorge here, back at you with another video. Today we will be discussing Mephitic Corpse and their debut, Sickness Attracts Sickness. Without further ado, let's get there. So in 2019, this 3-track demo was birthed onto the scene. Immense thickening vomit. Whoop. Better not show that. YouTube might not like it. And, just 3 tracks for over half a decade has taken these guys international all over the world. And that's represented in the collage artwork on the insert of the debut. This has been so beloved, so cherished. It has been pressed 3 different times. I have the most recent, the 3rd pressing by Head Split, right? And yeah, so we have Eric Laywald on drums. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name. Matt Rose on guitar and Upchuck. I'm guessing vocals, right? And then you have Parker Nelson on bass and also Gag Reflex. These 3 young gentlemen have really made a splash onto the scene. The musicianship is just beyond. It's just a high caliber of musicianship. Just 3 tracks, right? For half a decade, 6 years, right? Kept them going. 2024, they would release a 2-song promo, which featured 2 of the new songs off of their upcoming album, now here in 2025, Sickness Attracts Sickness. But it's funny because I'm new, obviously, just a few short years into this, and I kept seeing this cover around, especially on Extremely Rotten, social media, Head Split, what have you, and I didn't really think much of it at the time. Didn't know anything of the band, and I certainly didn't know anything about the demo, right? And I just kept seeing it. I just kept hearing people talk about it, and I thought, well, obviously there must be something here. Okay, so I ran over, picked up the tape because I did stream just a few seconds. That's one of the things that I do. It's not really like a blind buy. I guess it kind of is, but I've found that in just a handful of cases, I could sort of stream just 15 or 20 seconds maybe off of an album from a band that I am unaware of, and in that short amount of time I will know almost right off that, okay, yep, this is landing, at least with me anyway. So anyway, picked it up, and also the debut, and I gotta be honest with you, it's almost a trope at this point that people say, early on in the year, new, right? But I'm noticing that people, when they really like something, they'll be like, oh, this is a contender for album of the year, or this is album of the year material, right? Not only is this album of the year material, this may be the album of 2025, with without question. It is that good. I am so blown away by it. So let's get into why this album is incredibly important. As far as labels go, I think this is a three-way street from what I can discern. Extremely Rotten, so obviously ERP, yeah, 625 Productions, and Head Split. You have 11 tracks of some of the best death grind ever. I am an enjoyer of death grind. I have mentioned before, as far as the mainstream side of things, we have Cattle Decapitation, which is sort of like, I guess, progressive death grind, right? And then, I like stuff like Leviticity, Mortification, things like that. But what this band does, they have explored the farthest reaches of death grind, and this debut, Sickness Attracts Sickness, is what they've come away with. I'm just absolutely blown away. Now, when I listen to the record, the grindy elements come through, I think, the strongest in the mix and production, but the drum sound, I don't even know something I could do to mimic it, except maybe like a plastic container that you would like store food in. Just the sound of something hitting against that. It's so incredibly thin, but it sounds so good, and it's at the forefront of everything in this record. You have the scratchy, feedback-ridden guitars, and this and just super down-tuned bass, and this drum sound. That's more accurate right there. You have that sound cutting through all of it. The vocals are buried in the mix, and that's how it should be for something like that. My favorite kind of vocals, if I can understand what is being said, that's automatic points deducted right out the gate. I can't say that for every situation. There are a handful of exceptions. Take, for instance, Aberration's Demonolatry or Melbourne's Gutless, right? I can understand what those guys are saying, but that works for that type of, Vader worship type death thrash, I guess, what you would call it. It's death metal, to be sure. But, so, anyway, this is that sound. Super low vocals, almost Leviticity-esque, so low, it completely just sort of mixes in with the bass and these super crazy guitars. This is just the best sounding stuff that I've heard in quite a while. Ethan Camp is the producer on this. So, picked my copy up at Head Split, and right off the bat, you can see a lot of fun stuff that most likely YouTube will not be a fan of. Right, so, yeah, you just have some collage-type artwork, which is reminiscent of gore grind, what have you. You don't need me to tell you that. Came with a cool DIY poster. This whole project feels DIY. It feels independent underground. Obviously, there's a couple labels in on this, but everything just seems so, even down to the label, it looks like everything was just written with a pencil or something. I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not, but you could sort of see what I'm talking about here. We have some beloved gentlemen in the death metal community right here, Mass Cremation on the left. Now, let me see this one. The insert itself is not what I just showed you, believe it or not. There's actually a second insert, which is kind of funny. Like I said, three song or 3-track demo taking this band around the world. This is actually doubles as a really cool poster. It's on an extremely thick card, and the thank yous are on the back of it. You could just see this super collage of just these guys just going around the world and touring off the back of that 3-track demo, making a lot of friends along the way, and just making quite the rumble in the underground scene. Okay, so we've talked about the sound a little bit, and that's due in part to Ethan Camp, the producer, kind of giving them this sort of raw sound. You know, you really don't, I mean, I guess you hear, like, obviously, raw black metal. That's a term you hear in black metal. But when it comes to death metal, yeah, aside from some EPs and demos and maybe some splits, at least for me, I don't encounter something like raw death metal. And this does feel like death metal, but it's grindy too. It has a raw aesthetic to it, and I hope they keep this sound for forever. It is so refreshing, and one of the things they do on here that I really enjoy is they take a breakdown, something simple as a breakdown in a song, right? We all know what that is, and they will gradually, over time, speed up the breakdown, and it just, to the point where they're just going nuts, and it sounds absolutely wild, like dun 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 dun. Look, I can't do justice. You have to hear it for yourself. I'm sure you probably already have if you're watching this video. If not, you have got to do yourself a favor. It would be a sin not to check out this album debut, Sickness Attracts Sickness. Mephitic Corpse, just some of the best stuff I've heard. I don't know anything that could even top it. I'm still listening to the new Pissgrave, but man, something would have to literally drop down and fall out of heaven itself, literally, to knock this out of album of the year place for me. I know it's only February. I'm serious, man. This is some of the best stuff I have ever heard. Alright, my friends, there you have it. That is my short, sweet, simple review of the new Sickness Attracts Sickness debut by Mephitic Corpse. Jorge, a Christian who collects death metal, signing off. Be blessed.